Hello, everybody. It's the Five Heart Caught podcast without Greg because I told him to take the night off. He might be watching because he's probably sitting there going, he's not doing the intro right. Everything looks wrong. And he'd be correct because whenever I do this without Greg, I do my best to screw it up. Okay. It's a volleyball show tonight. And I have two of my volleyball writers on with me, Miley and Beth. And they are both volleyball experts. And I am going to do, you need to bring in the questions about volleyball. I know a lot of you want to go, ooh, if we want to talk about football. Well, guess what? Saturday night, you have number one versus number two. And it's not just that they're number one versus number two, it's that they're undefeated number one versus undefeated number two. What do you guys think about that? I mean, when you see this, what's your first impression of Wisconsin, Nebraska?
Yeah, the storyline is pretty great. There's not much that you build this up and you make this storyline, and you've got two teams inside the same conference that haven't lost a single match the entire season, and Wisconsin hasn't lost an entire set to anybody else in the Big Ten yet. So, when you write storylines, this one builds and builds and builds until you get to, this might not be the highest culmination of this volleyball season, but this is a peak. This is one of the peaks of the season.
Miley?
I sort of see this as maybe a national championship match. I mean, it's early in the season, still a little bit, but it could be one.
I think what I look at is this. I look at it from, I look at it as the gentle old man perspective. It's this. I look at it and I go, we have an incredible volleyball team. We have an incredible volleyball program. We had Nebraska Volleyball Day. We set a world record about volleyball. And we're going to look at this game Saturday night. And if we lose this match, we're going to be like more disappointed. It's just, that amount of pressure on a team. How do you handle that? I mean, Wisconsin has won the Big Ten, 4 years in a row? And Nebraska hasn't beat them in how many matches in a row?
Why are we talking about these stats? Let's talk about something more positive, John. How about
we'll start with this and then we'll go up. Yes, you have to build the momentum kind of thing.
They are 4-time in a row Big Ten champions, those Wisconsin Badgers, and they've been excellent, and they've had Nebraska's number for a bunch of years now. There is no Husker that has beaten Wisconsin except for transfer Merritt Beeson. She's a junior transfer. She beat them as a member of Florida's team last year. And so, this is a match that you absolutely, absolutely want to win. I think if Coach Cook was on here with us, he would tell us that they're going to come at this match as they do every other match. They're going to try to win. They're going to try to get better. But this isn't the end of the season. This is not the Big Ten championship. It could mean a lot in the way of a Big Ten championship, but it's also not the national championship yet. Right? These two could definitely meet each other at that point. But if they lose and they grow from it, if they lose and Harper Murray's fire gets lit stronger for her, then that could be a long-term victory for them. They will do everything they can to win on Saturday night. But if they don't win, there could be winning outcomes from even a loss against a very good Wisconsin team.
Wow, it's like you've done this before or something.
You got to talk the players to the right mindset before they get there. If they win on Saturday or they lose on Saturday, they're still going to play the next match, right? There is no elimination moment on Saturday night. And different than football, there are so many matches inside of a volleyball season that you don't get ruled out from a national championship contention by losing on Saturday night. You are very likely still a number one seed going into the NCAA tournament if you continue to win the way you've been doing. And if you lose to the number one team on Saturday, then you're still going to be in a good spot come national championship time.
Yeah, Saturday's definitely not the end all be all. It's the beginning of a tough road ahead of us with, one more match against Wisconsin after that, plus going into the tournament, plus, everyone else they play this season. Purdue and Indiana played us really tough. So anyone could, yeah.
Okay, you both played college sports. You both played. Miley, you played hockey. It doesn't matter if you didn't play volleyball. You do have to have a mindset to carry on throughout a season. That isn't football, because in football, if you lose a game, it's like, oh, it's the end of the earth. In both of your sports, hockey, volleyball, you're going to lose games.
Well, you sure don't want to. I hate to lose.
You know what I mean?
I'm not sitting here accepting losses. I don't want a loss, but what you have to go into Saturday with, if you're coaching or playing for Nebraska or Wisconsin, is that we have some specific things that we want to execute. And those things, if we execute them well, should result in a win. But we also understand that we are playing a highly dynamic team, and they have A way to win, B way to win, C way to win, D way to win. Wisconsin can beat Nebraska this many ways, and Nebraska can beat Wisconsin this many ways. And it's a matter of moving those chess pieces throughout the match to determine who wins. The first strategy that we go at Wisconsin with won't beat them the whole night. They will adjust, and then they will come back, and they'll win the next 5 points when they adjust. So you win this match, and that is a victory, and you take it and you value it. But you also know you can walk away from a loss on Saturday night with some very important information. And if you perform in those pivotal moments, if you accomplish some of the less tangible goals, you may also move forward and know that the victory can come later and it will be sweeter if you are going to lose. But I am not endorsing losing. That is not.
We're going to win.
Now, do you believe that, Miley?
Yeah. With my sport, with hockey, my freshman year at Midland, we played 40 games. So it was inevitable that we were probably going to lose one of those. One of them might be big, one of them might be small. It doesn't matter. But you just got to take wins from every game that you play. Doesn't matter if you win, doesn't matter if you lose. You have to figure out what works and what doesn't.
Okay. I look at Nebraska's team. And, obviously I watch Nebraska volleyball. My wife watches Nebraska volleyball. You look at this year's team and you kind of see, it seems to me like in the years past, I always think of Michaela Fecky was like, she would take over a game. She'd get that like serial killer look in her eyes, and you go, wow, them sons of bitches she's playing against are in trouble. And she would take over a game. This year, you can see that same look in Merritt Beeson, right? And then we have Harper Murray. And then in the back, we have Becca Allen. We have some other players. But in the back, you have Lexi Rodriguez and Lainey Choboy. I got her name right, didn't I?
You got it.
Okay. Earlier, I said Cheney Lowboy, and I was looking it up on the internet. Why can't I find this? And it's because I'm old and my brain's broken. Anyway, I look at that and I go, my God, they're so dynamic. They have so many different ways of doing things. I love the back row flying stuff. And then I turn on Wisconsin, and they have like giants playing for them. They're literally like 9 feet tall women that just, I don't know, they kill everything in front of their path. What's that lady's name? Shrek?
Anna Schmreck. Yeah.
Schmreck. Right. Okay, so they have Shrek playing for them.
They do. They are very tall. They are the tallest team we'll face. They've got Anna Schmreck, who's 6'9", and then Carter Booth, who's 6'7". And so both of them obviously are going to be great blockers, great attackers, and they attack from a different contact point than, we have some very tall players too, right? We've got, 6'5" Allie Batenhorst. We've got everybody on our front court is over 6 foot. And our shortest one is 6'2", and that's our setter. So Bergen Riley. But Wisconsin is tall and they contact the ball at a different point. And so those defensive players are practicing that right now. They're playing against some of the, men who they practice with who contact that ball at a high point.
Really?
Our blockers. Yeah, they're going to, and they do that regularly. But when you scout a team and you prepare for a team, you try to mimic that team in practice. So your practice players, some of which are men, you see them standing kind of behind the Nebraska bench when they're playing, and they're keeping stats, and they're coaching too. They're very knowledgeable in the game of volleyball, but they're also going to play and help the team prepare physically by playing as a 6'9" or whatever height they are. In this case, Wisconsin simulated team. Wisconsin is a different level of good. We played Stanford and they were good, but Wisconsin's a different level of good.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I have not watched Wisconsin once this season.
You know what? If you did, it would like give you'd have nightmares.
Yeah, that's mostly why I haven't, to be honest.
So have you guys looked? I mean, when you're looking at, I'm going to ask this. I don't know volleyball like you guys do. All right, I don't know. I know that what a dig is. I know what a kill is. What a set pass is. The basics. I don't know anything about strategy. Could you guys go through maybe a couple of things that Nebraska can do, or what we would look for in this match? Where do you think Wisconsin might be weak that they would attack? And so I don't forget it. It's still in my old man brain. We have had a lot of service errors lately. And I am guessing the service errors are because they know that they need to be aggressive in serve. I mean, let's face it. If I was playing volleyball, I'd hit the ball like this and it'd go looping up over the net, right? That's how I played volleyball. And they're not going to do that. They are trying to hit the ball in such a way that it's not returnable. And that requires a lot more aggressive work and spin or attacking the ball during a serve, right? Let's start with that. They've had a lot of service errors. Is that because they're aggressive or because they're bad at it?
I've seen that Coach Cook wants them to be aggressive on the serve, but they need to be aggressive and not hit it into the net, which is just their biggest problem right now. They're giving teams so many free points doing that, which could be the line of winning or losing a game or match.
Yeah, serving is the first offensive weapon for any volleyball team. You have the ball, you have complete control of the ball. It is you and the ball behind the line, and you are the first offensive weapon for your team. And so I agree. And I want us to stop missing serves as much as every other person who cheers for Nebraska volleyball. But I also know that if we just start making our serves, like instantly, tomorrow, here we go, we're going to make every serve. That's our goal, because that's not our goal. Coach Cook does not walk into practice and say, we are making every serve today, period. What he walks into practice and he says is that we must serve those lines. We are going to serve. He gives them a zone, right? So when they zoom in on Coach Cook during a match, he's giving them a zone. If he's got his clipboard right here and he says zone 5. He wants his player to serve down that line. So if my server is off to the right, zone 5 is right down the line, and he wants her to serve down that line, not to the passer, because that's too easy. I will pass that to my setter, and then I'll jam it down your throat, Lexi Rodriguez. Not really. I'm going to serve down the line. I'm going to make this passer move. That increases her chance for error on her pass and increases my chance for the ace. So we're trying to serve on the end line. We're aiming to serve it to that end line. So it chooses, those passers have to choose in or out. And if it's in, I have to pass it way up here. And that's a hard pass for me. So our goal is not every serve is in. Our goal is that we are throwing their offense out of system. They can't run anything they want because our serve was so good that they couldn't. And where we're missing is those margins. We're going high risk, and we're not yet getting high reward. And if we gave Coach Cook some truth serum, I think he believes that if we continue to practice this and we continue to believe in our serving, that when the time comes in the national championship or in the semifinals, back up to the quarterfinals, our serving will have progressed and gone through this belief in the end result that it will get there. Harper Murray is a phenomenal athlete with a determination. She will figure out how to make those serves in pressure moments, and it will be on the line rather than outside the line, which she's doing right now. And I'm just going to add one more thing. Her ratio to aces to misses is still the best ratio on the team. She has the most misses, but she also has by far the most aces. So I hear it, and I know she's missing too many serves, but she also still has the best ratio aces to misses on the team. So I'm not on bench Harper Murray's serve yet. I think she's got to play through it, and I think in November and December we're going to go, this is amazing.
Okay,
Well,
go ahead, Miley.
I saw an article or a press conference or something somewhere that they go days in practice without service errors. But all of a sudden they get to the matches and it's just service error after service error. It's like, what's happening in between those practices and then the matches? Like, whoa, what's going on there?
Okay, Highlander Gun says, I need volleyball 101, maybe bonehead volleyball. I know nothing about it. I am guessing that is a great deal of people. You know, we had Nebraska Volleyball Day. We had 92,000 fans. But the honest to God truth is, I'd say the majority of us really don't know a damn thing about the sport. I mean, we know that, you know, there's serving. And at the other, why should I describe this? You guys describe a play. Okay, we'll just do this real quick. Try to get some basics down so because people I assume are going to come in and watch this video later so they can understand more about what's going on.
Okay, volleyball 101.
Yeah.
Serve starts the rally. And so serve is offensive. You're trying to throw the other team's passers off. The first pass by the other team is called their serve receive, and they're going to pass it underhand. Ideally, they're going to get it to their setter, who's going to set it overhand. That's the set, and she's sending it up so that the next player can attack it or spike it, and that spike has to cross the net. 3 contacts, and then that ball has to cross the net to the other team, and the last contact, you want that to be a downward driven ball. So that's the spike or the attack. The opposing team can block, which is, you know, up at the net, a wall. They're putting your hands up in a wall fashion, trying to send the ball right back. If it crosses your block, then you're starting over on those 3 contacts. So pass, set, attack again. So any ball that lands on the floor, or I'm going to stop there to keep it volleyball 101. But any ball that lands on the floor scores a point, and it scores a point for the opposite team. So block touches do not count as touches.
Okay.
So you just get 3 contacts, and those are usually a pass, a set, and then the attack. Is that 101?
Yeah, that's not too bad. What about, okay, you know what? Let me take some comments here. Wade Fard says, does Cook need to shave his head to beat the Badgers?
Well, Kelly Sheffield for Wisconsin does have a shaved head. Kelly Sheffield's the Wisconsin head coach. No, I don't think that's necessary.
GM earlier said, John, stop being depressing. Go ahead, Miley.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, I don't know if John Cook would look that great bald. So
GM says, Beth and Miley, thanks for classing up the joint. Okay, this is Wade Farr says, when serving, do the players get upset at stuff that is shouted at them? And this is one of the things about volleyball that I always find amazing. I don't know of another sport where the fans are as close to a player as they are in volleyball, where they're serving and the fans are right behind them. And, normally they stick the student section right behind them, and the student section is yelling things. People might say basketball, but, basketball even keeps, they separate the court from the crowd most of the time. And I guess answer that or respond to it. How do you deal with this kind of stuff?
Basically, you just have to just not listen to it or just block it out, because there's no other way you're not going to listen to it without doing that. Like at Purdue, the student section was right there on the servers, and they were just heckling them the entire game. So they just had to block it out.
I noticed that Lainey Choboy they were singing something or doing something, and she was dancing with them right before she served. So I suppose you kind of go, you're not getting to me. I'm one of you already.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Bradley Warnick. Bradley Cooper. Is that a TV? I'm terrible with names. Bradley Warnick says, how do you see Alec progressive in her career? Can she rise to the level that Fecky did, Michaela Fecky?
Different positions. So Michaela Fecky was an outside hitter and Becca Alex a middle. So hard for me to compare, but Becca Alec is certainly an emotional leader for this year's Husker team. She's also very consistent. That you can't think of a match when Alec had a bad match. She had a couple of miscues when she came in against, I think, Michigan State is when she started.
She got benched one of those matches too.
Yeah, and so she's just fiery. I think the team feeds off her fire and responds to her sass. She talks through the net, which not all volleyball players trash talk, but Becca Alec trash talks. I mean, she's not trash talking to me, so I don't know what she's saying, but she responds to players after she blocks them and lets them know she knows that's who she just blocked. And anyways, so I think her potential is really limitless because she's super athletic. She clearly likes to win. She's driven to win and get better. And from her freshman to sophomore season, she's already gotten better. She's a better blocker this season, and she's more offensive. So it's tough to compare to Fecky because of the different positions. But I think she's more comfortable this year. When she takes that second ball in the middle, last year we sort of chuckled at that and said, oh, she thinks she's a setter, but she makes that play at the right time when she needs to, when the setter can't get to that ball. And so, yeah, Alec is a pivotal player for Nebraska.
Wade Farr asks, what and why is there a player that wears a different color jersey? And why doesn't another one wearing that different color come in when the one shuffles out? This is part of your volleyball 101 thing.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
We'll write more 101 articles, or maybe we'll just talk more about it. So the different color jersey player, she's called a Libero. And there's some rules around the Libero. She can only play in the back row, and you can only have one Libero per set. You can't switch the Libero mid-set. So Lexi Rodriguez is Nebraska's Libero, and I would not expect her to get switched out. She's very good. So she wears a different color jersey. She can only play in the back court in those back three rotations, which also means she cannot attack the ball in front of the 10-foot line above the net. So that sounds complicated, but basically she can't be Lindsay Krause attacking the ball in the front row. She's not an offensive player. She's defensive. She does not count as a substitution. Volleyball teams get 15 substitutions per set, per 25-point set, and she does not count as one of those. So the way Nebraska does it, Lexi Rodriguez comes in for Becca Alec and also for Angie Jackson. So she plays for our two middles in the back row, and she can serve for one of those, but she cannot serve for the other one. And so we bring a serving sub usually in on the other middle rotation. So The libero is a defensive position. It's supposed to improve the serve receive passing and the defensive play of the entire match.
Okay, I have to pause a minute because you fried my brain. There's a lot in this. You know what I mean? I realize volleyball 101, but there's a lot that's going on. Yeah. And it's I don't know.
Keep it simple. She plays defense. She can only play in the back row.
She has a different color jersey.
She wears different colors.
I did not know about the 15 substitutions per set. I thought it was a lot less than that. Well, let's see. Miley GM says Miley has replaced as B. I don't know what that means. I think she meant me as the possessor of the undying optimism. That was from earlier when you said we're going to win, and I was being depressing apparently. Connor S comes in with more pressure on Nebraska or Wisconsin.
I think both right now. I don't know. I think Wisconsin has pressure to win to remain number one, but Nebraska has pressure to beat Wisconsin because we haven't beat them in so many matches. So I think there's pressure on both teams going into this match.
Beth?
I think Wisconsin. Yeah. I mean,
they're really?
The number one. Yeah, they're the number one. They're supposed to win. They're supposed to have Nebraska's number. I mean, if we have an underdog in this match, it's Nebraska. They haven't beaten them in years. They're the number 2 seed. They're both very good. Everybody is cheering for an amazing match, but Wisconsin's supposed to win.
Are they? Okay. Brad Wilson. Conference and great during the postseason. Any comments on that?
Yeah, I think Coach Cook is progressing. I think he always looks to play tough teams in the preseason of the conference. He did that a little bit this year, just with the Memorial Stadium match. But yeah, I don't think he's looking. And I don't know if he's his mentor or his friend, but Coach Cook always talked about Russ Rose, Penn State's former volleyball coach, and peaking at the right time was something that Russ Rose was infamous for. He got his teams ready at Penn State to be their best, whether that was a national championship team or just very good at tournament time. And you don't want to peak too early or have everybody on all cylinders right now. Because you probably can't maintain that. It's a long season. This is October, and we're not going to decide a national champion until December. So I think maybe what Brad's saying is we're progressing. And if the progression isn't at beating Wisconsin on Saturday night, then we just better keep moving forward with our progression to include the serving and serve receive passing too. I think what we need to see against Wisconsin, one of the best serving teams in the country, is good passing. We watched Ohio State play Wisconsin on Wednesday night, and they served aces. Wisconsin served Ohio State off the court. It was
I watched that.
It was alarming.
It was terrifying.
Yes.
That's what it was.
Right now, Wisconsin is running a offensive system that only has one setter, and we're not exactly sure why. They normally run an offensive system with 2 setters, but the point of all that is the setter for Wisconsin was serving aces off the court. And so what we need to do, Nebraska needs to do, is pass their serve and not get aced. They will serve a short ball, and then they'll serve a long ball. They will serve a floating ball, like a knuckleball for baseball, and then they'll serve a fast ball or just a hard driven ball at you. So the variety of serves is one of their strategies to ace you. And so, the first step in Nebraska winning this match is passing Wisconsin serves. And, the opposite of that is not getting aced. They cannot get aced by Wisconsin serves, especially to the magnitude that Ohio State did.
Okay. Wade Farr again. He says, "So I saw Lexi go out. Does that mean there is no libero?" That means there is no libero on the floor at that time.
Yeah, she has to go off for that one rotation when the middle serves. So there is one play in one rotation when the libero, and Lexi in our case, goes off the court. But as soon as this middle serves and is done serving, the other team sides out. Lexi will go back in.
Okay, Brad Wilson comes in with Lexi out is a big loss if true. I think he means just out. She's not out. She's going to play in this match. We haven't heard anything.
Yeah.
Now we are missing somebody else.
Yep. Lindsay Krause has been ruled out for this match officially. Looks like Allie Batenhorst will get the green light to start in that position. So it's a huge loss because Krause was just getting started. I mean, she was getting in a good rhythm on the outside hitter position. So hopefully Batenhorst can come in and do as good as Krause, which I think she will. I think we'll be fine. But yeah, still Krause being out, it's definitely a big loss.
Okay, we have a setter. These are the positions, right? Setter, libero. Both of those are defensive players, right?
The setter runs the offense. The setter is the quarterback. So if you
Okay.
call the quarterback in football defensive, I agree, but the setter runs the offense.
She doesn't attack normally. The setter.
She's sometimes, yeah.
Very rarely.
Yeah, very rarely.
Maybe when they do those dump plays, right?
The setter dump, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you got the setter and the libero, and then you have middles, which are middle blockers, and then you have outside hitters right and left. Am I missing anything? Wow, I didn't do too bad, huh? Huh? Yeah. Okay, what else we got here? Colton McNear says, John talking about volleyball. I love it. You know what? This is a fun sport. I can tell you this. I mean, what do I got up there? I got, the photos. And when I shot photography of volleyball, I mean, just that close to the match or that close to, honestly, 6'5" young women that are incredibly athletic and probably could kick your ass with both hands tied behind their backs. I mean, it is an incredible sport. Going to it live is just, I don't know. It's probably, I mean, I love football more than anything else as a sport. I certainly love my wife and everything, but volleyball is so incredibly fast. It's exciting. The players are athletic. I mean, we've seen a huge upsweep in volleyball just this year. And I'll get to the rest of Colton's thing in a minute. But we've seen, John Cook talked about this. He talked about the fact that Michigan had 9,000 fans at one of their matches, and they usually don't have hardly any. Ohio State has sold out some matches. Indiana has sold out some matches. So volleyball is increasing in popularity.
Yeah, I don't want to give Nebraska all the credit for this, but Volleyball Day in Nebraska, I mean, I should.
You're on a Nebraska show, Miley. My God.
I know. But Volleyball Day in Nebraska, I think, brought a lot of attention to volleyball in just the United States in general. So I will give almost all the credit to Nebraska on that one.
Okay, very good. Good job. Okay, the rest of the question. What impact has Jordan Larson had on this team in terms of coaching? Is there anything specifically that she brings in terms of coaching techniques? That's a fairly decent question.
That's a great question. I think, Jordan Larson is arguably, but you'll have to make a really good argument, the best volleyball player in the world right now. The captain of the Olympic gold medalists, United States, and the most impactful player on that team. So best player in the world. We're just going to go with that. And now she's sitting on the sidelines of and part of the practices for Nebraska. And the way Coach Cook has described her is, she's fairly quiet, but when she says something, it's very impactful. And when the players have talked about her, either Lindsay Krause or Lexi Rodriguez have made direct comments about Jordan Larson, she's a person that they seek her guidance, right? They're going to go and ask a specific question and hear from her because her playing experience is so recent and so relevant and so varied, so vast. She's played internationally, and obviously she played a long time ago at the college level, but she was highly successful there. So I think she's bringing not only the wisdom of seeing things from the bench as a coach, but she's now bringing in some really relevant playing experience that is has been successful. She knows when, if you're Lindsay Krause or apply that across any outside hitter, Jordan Larson knows when the tip is effective. She knows how to swipe a ball off of a block so that you can score. She knows what to do after you miss a serve receive pass to get back into the mindset to make the next one. So she's in your shoes at a level that you haven't been yet as an outside hitter or any player on the court. I think her presence in your practices and at your matches is a big advantage.
Miley, you got anything on that?
No, not really. All I know is Jordan Larson was actually with the Midland volleyball team.
That's
just
right.
Slightly, I think last season. So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool that she was with Midland. But
one of the things I didn't say about being courtside or watching volleyball is, when we watch football, right? We watch football because everything in Nebraska sports has to make a football reference, right? That's how it goes.
Yep.
When we watch football, you go up to the line, the offensive team knows what plays they're running. They know what they're supposed to execute to be successful. The defense, before the ball is snapped, knows what plays they're going to be running. When you come up to a volleyball court and you begin the rally, which is a scrimmage or a play in football, basically, right? Does the team know everything about that? I guess I'll start there. Does the team on the offensive side know exactly what they're going to do?
Yeah, the setter is calling the play ahead of time. So Watchberg and Riley, she'll do hand signals to her players ahead of the serve being hit from the opposite team. And so, yes, they know what they're running. The only caveat to that is if the pass is pretty terrible and the play goes out of system, which out of system just means we can't run exactly what we were going to do. It's like if a snap goes bad.
It's a broken play in football.
It's a broken play.
Right.
Then you revert to a higher ball outside. What Nebraska says they try to do, and this is a higher level play than some teams can do, but they always try to keep the system going. And so the tempo of the ball, the speed of the ball never gets to be, like a big rainbow set to the outside. That's slow and predictable. So Nebraska tries to keep the speed of the ball and the rhythm of the ball to the outsides the same. But yes, they know what they're going to run ahead of time, whether we're serving or we're serve receiving. The play is set ahead of time.
I have to get my internet fixed. This is getting to be okay. I think the point I wanted to make, knowing the play ahead of time, but the game is so fast. It is so incredibly fast compared to, let's face it, a baseball pitcher stands on a mound, he throws the ball. Everybody knows where they're going ahead of time, depending upon where the ball is hit. Is that comparable to volleyball also? Except that it's lightning speed. Like if they move over to set this person on this side and they come up with a kill or a spike or whatever it is, everybody knows how they're supposed to shift in position, and they have to make that decision like boom, bada, bada, boom. Well, not even, that's really slow. Just one boom.
Yeah, so part of the scouting ahead of time for a team is where we will sit defensively behind the block, and we'll also decide how we're going to block each of the opposing hitters. So if we go back to Anna Schmreck, ahead of time, Nebraska is going to decide we're going to primarily take away her cross court, or we're going to, when she hits this ball, we're going to do this. When she's hitting out of the middle, we're going to have 2 blockers on her. And then the people that are not blocking are going to have their positions on the court too. And that will vary by team. It'll vary by hitter. They'll scout that and create a plan for each of the hitters ahead of time. And then conversely, on our offense, we'll look at their defensive setups and we'll think about, okay, on Harper Murray, they're probably going to do this. And so Harper, initially, these shots are the most probable successful for you. And then adjust as the match goes on. We'll see what's available to her.
Wow. You know what I did? I got stuck looking at the comments, so I didn't come up with my next question. Okay. This match is coming up Saturday night, which means it's imminent. It's the match everybody's waited for. It's probably the match everybody in the volleyball world is kind of watching and waiting to see. If you're Nebraska, I just can't get over. I watched, like I said, I watched that game against Ohio State, and I thought Ohio State is pretty good, and they got crushed. It was like waves of orcs coming at them. I don't know what it was. It was a Lord of the Rings reference, probably a bad reference, but you know what I mean? It's just holy shit. They got overwhelmed and they got overrun. And what is Nebraska? What do you think Nebraska's going to do to beat Wisconsin? I guess that's what I'm getting to. What can we do against Shrek and the other giant woman? And then Sarah Franklin is a player I haven't mentioned at all, and she's like the best player in the nation, right?
She's very good. Yeah, she's very good. She's an outside hitter for Wisconsin. She transferred from Michigan State. They have a couple transfers that are really pivotal for them. Their 2 outside hitters are both transfers. Sarah Franklin is the first one, and Temi Thomas Ialero is the second one. She transferred from Northwestern. She's a graduate student. They'll have Carter Booth, a transfer from Minnesota, and Caroline, she goes by CC Crawford now. She transferred 2 seasons ago from Kansas. The things that Nebraska has to do, I think step 1 is passing, right? And this is where Ohio State is okay. You remember what they did. They released all of their players last year that were very good seniors, and they had not enough scholarships to keep them all. So they're playing with a lot of young players right now. So I don't know this. And I know we have freshmen too, but I don't think they're comparable freshmen. Their freshmen are not the same in experience on the international level that Harper Murray, Andy Jackson, Bergen Riley, Lainey Choboy are. So step 1 is passing. And Ohio State did not do that. They were aced way too many times. And not only does that cause a point right in that moment, but now your offense is non-existent. Even when you are passing, you're passing it off of the net. That slows down your entire offense, and it makes it very predictable. So those huge blockers for Wisconsin go to the outside, and they stand there with their tippy tallness, and they wait to block. They just wait. I'm going to set up a fire, and I'm going to wait for you to come over here, and I'm going to block you. So passing does 2 things. It creates a pass, which is what you have to do, and it allows your offensive system to be fast and unpredictable, and the unpredictability allows you to fool the blockers. If Harper Murray has a small space between 2 blockers' hands, she will hit the ball there. And when you hit the ball there, that defense that was setting up behind what was supposed to be a unified block, a solid wall, they didn't set up right there because that was supposed to be blocked. So the hole between the block is always a kill because you call it a cup defense. You cup around the block, and that is where you dig the balls. That's where the ball will be channeled if your block is a wall. So pass.
Wow. Okay. My brain's fried all over again. I just recorded from the last bit.
I'm trying to be helpful. I'm not trying to.
You are being helpful. But just I'm slow.
Pass the ball. It creates an offensive system that will beat their block. Not every time. Wisconsin's block will not be beat every time, but you have a shot. You have the ability to move their blockers around and beat them. But I'm going to add in here, Wisconsin's defense is amazing. I mean, as good as Nebraska's, and you watch Nebraska and you know how good they are. She says her name, Julia Orzel, and Guchkikin is their other defensive player. Yeah, they're international. I'm doing my best with those names. So those two defensive players, they dig some balls, and it helps that they have that big block because those balls are channeled to the space that they're digging. But Wisconsin's defense will break some spirits because you think the ball is down, just like with Lexi Rodriguez, right? You think that ball is down, and then she flies across the court and it's up, and you go, oh, I thought I killed that ball. So Wisconsin's defense can kill some spirits. And so our hitters have to be aware that most balls will come back up and rallies should go long. And we have to expect that to happen.
Wow. I kind of wanted you to just say, yeah, well, you're going to kick their ass, you know? I mean, let's face it. Most of the times when we do football shows, we are just so amazingly full of shit and full of ourselves with the blah, 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 blah. They're going to run with this guy. No, we're never going to turn the ball over. You know, when you look at volleyball, God, it just seems like so tight. You know what I mean? Wisconsin beat Rutgers earlier this season, 25-4 in a set. And when you have a sport where every error is a point, that means that Wisconsin basically they made almost zero errors during an entire set. So this is going to have to be an amazingly crisp, tight game played by both teams, or am I just terrified of Wisconsin now because I see really tall women smashing the ball at me in my dreams?
I think it'll be tight. I think there'll be waves of strategy. There'll be waves of attack that have to adjust. And I think Nebraska needs to embrace that, right? I don't think there has been a huge amount of success in the adjustments throughout this season. We've seen them come up with a very good game plan. I think that would be a strength of the coaching staff and the players to accept that game plan and execute it. And so that's why games 1 look pretty good. But when game 2 comes back and the team responds, or especially game 3, when there's a little bit longer break and the coaches adjust things, that adjustment has not been a strength so far this season. And so if we embrace the idea that Wisconsin will adjust to whatever we do, even our best game plan, if we beat them sets 1 and 2, then they will adjust in set 3 and we'll have to adjust as well. And if that is a victory, if we figure out how to adjust during this match and beat them a different way than we do in sets 1 or 2, then that would be a huge step forward for a team that wants to be successful come NCAA tournament time, because every team you play in the NCAA tournament will figure out how to adjust to you. They'll have a lot of match tape to prepare for you. And sorry, did you want me to be more blowing things up right now? You wanted me to just talk about Nebraska.
We'll get there. We will go probably another 10 to 15, maybe 20 minutes, and we'll get there to the smoke and ooh, okay. Miley, have you ever gone through something like this when you were playing hockey, where you played an opponent that you knew that you had to really, lessen the penalties, lessen the icing,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
My freshman year when we played University of Colorado, I mean, they were our rival our freshman year, and they were assholes. Their parents were assholes. I mean, it's Colorado, so what do you expect?
There you go. That's the spirit.
We played them in our conference championship, and we beat them in double overtime because a girl on Colorado took a dumb penalty. And so we capitalized on that and won our first ever conference title. because of that. So yeah, I mean, those kinds of things make every little difference in big games or matches. So they need to watch, of course, the service errors, because that's just going to be free points for Wisconsin all night long if they can't get that under control, which will be very bad.
Okay, Josh Hansen says, "Can we hit Schmreck in the knees?" I, you know,
I wish.
I think that's what is the Nancy Kerrigan move? Is that what the? I don't think we can, Josh. That would go against the spirit of the sport. And you know what I've seen about volleyball is pretty much everybody kind of cheers for each other. Whereas in football, in a lot of other sports, we're all ripping at each other's. Like Colorado or Iowa, I'm constantly beating on them. In volleyball, people are a lot more gracious to each other's. You know what I mean? Oh, let's build the sport. Whatever.
Well, except if you're Stanford and you win the national championship, and then you have on the whiteboard like the Stanford tree shooting the Herbie Huskers. So besides that, yeah.
Well, that is true. That's a good point. Okay, we're gonna Wade Farr. How much harder do you think it will be to win next year when the Pacific Four come in? And I guess that question is really, we're looking at the Big Ten adding four schools that are not slouchy, and they're not slouchy in football, and they're certainly not slouchy in volleyball. So why don't you guys discuss a little bit what that means for the Big Ten Conference, which is already a kick-ass conference in volleyball?
I mean, we got a little bit of a taste of it in the tournament last year with Oregon. I mean, we thought we had that game, and then 5 sets we lost, and it was sort of just painful, very painful. So Oregon will definitely be stiff competition when they do come into the Big Ten.
Yeah, overall, the Pac-12 has been a great volleyball conference too. Most of the years we're debating which is a better conference, and the last couple of years it's been a little less of a debate in the West, and the Big Ten has been a stronger conference. Oregon is the top team coming in from the Pac-12 to the Big Ten next year, and will continue to be a good team too. Washington is a really good team too, and consistently shows really well. UCLA has a great history with volleyball, not the strongest year for them right now. And USC, same thing, really strong history, and then in having a good season. So yes, all 4 of those teams playing volleyball will up the competition level, and obviously the travel distance or directions no longer will be the furthest west. So we'll go west to play inside the conference season. Sounds like Coach Cook has just embraced that and figured out how to do that well, but that's exciting. Those volleyball teams being added to the Big Ten is very exciting, and will increase the competitive level.
Okay, I had one from another one from Wade. And he asks, is it up to a player or a plan call if she's going to smash the ball or just plop it over the net? I think I knew the answer to this.
It's like, well, what's your answer, John?
I think that just has to be an ad hoc decision. You make it at the moment. You literally make it in when a hitter's in the air. She makes that decision when she sees the hands placement of the other blockers or the players that are in the floor in front of her. And that's, again, goes back to the point I was making earlier. This sport in the decision-making in it is so incredibly fast-paced. That's what I think makes it the most, well, quite frankly, by far, the most incredible women's sport out there. No offense to hockey.
Yeah, what about hockey? No.
But they do. They make that decision in the air, literally, right? Like a basketball player going up for he has to adjust his hands depending upon the guy guarding him. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. The only point I want to make here is earlier in the season, Becca Alec went out there and Coach Cook had just called a timeout. I'm going to not remember who we played. And he said, quit tipping the ball. Becca Alec went out on the next play and tipped the ball, and Coach Cook benched her. They were tipping too much. It was not successful. They were, it wasn't the game plan. And so bigger picture, not executing the game plan, smaller picture, doing the opposite thing that your coach just told you to stop doing equals the bench. But in general, I agree with you, John, that yes, it is a play-by-play. What do I see in front of me? Except for when your coach tells you not to do that exact thing.
Okay, Bradley Warnick asks, what does the Krause injury mean to the team?
I mean, it's tough, but thankfully we are very deep on the outside hitter position, and we have Allie Batenhorst to come in and just take over. But yeah, it definitely hurts losing her right now when she was just like getting going after her first injury of the season. So I guess we'll see.
Yeah, and strategically it changes the subs just a bit too. So Batenhorst is now starting along with Harper Murray on the left side, because you do differentiate between those left side hitters and the right side. So now first off the bench is Hayden Kubik. And so before coach had begun to sub Hayden Kubik just for Harper Murray and then Allie Batenhorst just for Lindsay Krause. He doesn't have that luxury right now with Krause injured. So Kubik would be the sub in first for either outside hitter if they're not performing. So strategically, it changes his sub perspective as well.
Colton McNair asks, why did John stop having Becca serve? Last year she served a lot. I don't recall seeing her serve yet this year. Too many inconsistencies, maybe. I have no idea.
Yeah, he bases a lot of his serving decisions based on what they do in practice, and they keep a lot of stats in practice. And then obviously the matches matter, but since Becca hasn't served at all in the matches so far this year, I don't think he's been asked that question directly. So I think we have to go with how he makes the serving decisions in general. You're serving in practice and doing it successfully. Therefore, you get a chance in the match, which is what happened with Kennedy Orr. She was doing really well in practice and got the nod to start doing it in matches. She's done it successfully and has proven to run points or just have a good run while she's in there serving, and she stresses the passers of the other team. So, I have to believe she hasn't performed in practice then.
Okay, Wade Farr asks, how much longer do you think Cook will coach? It was tricky there. See that? Okay, whatever. Is he training one of the guys I see coaching or one of his ex-players like Larson?
I've heard that he's training Jalen Reyes to take over for him. He's the guy that's up and out of his seat the entire game. So I've heard that. I don't know if it's true, but who knows? I mean,
yeah, this is a fun question. I mean, you can talk about this at parties. This is a great, conversation starter. He's got a lot of former players and players that are now into the coaching world and ones that are being very successful. So, build your list and watch it closely. It doesn't seem like he's indicating any plans for retirement, although he does talk more and more about horses. So was that a retirement plan? So I don't know. I have no idea how long he's going to keep coaching. He does talk a lot about health too and like balance of life. So those all, I guess, could be indicators that he has a mindset of after.
Colton McNair says, how about these girls, though? Who'd ever thought that we'd be at this point right now in the season? It's such a young team. I didn't imagine we'd be unbeaten in the number 2 team in the country. Okay, youth. Talk about the youth on this team and what they've done so far. See, this is where we start building.
To be honest, I'm not that surprised at how good we're doing just because we do have the top recruiting class in the nation for this year. So it's not really that shocking, but yeah, I mean, yeah.
Beth?
My dog has something to say about that, but yeah, if we rewind to last season and we see our 2022 team and then you tell us who's going to be our top players for this year. I mean, who's Merritt Beeson? I don't know.
Right.
Who is Harper Murray? Okay, we knew who she was. But these were unseen changes in our lineup. But to be honest, every time someone says a young team, yes, technically their age is young and their year in college is young, but these young women have played at really high levels and been successful at really high levels. They've been in the United States Olympic training system for a long time. They've competed at really high levels. So do they have a young volleyball experience? No, not at all. They've played at really high levels for a good amount of time. But I hear you. Technically, their age is young. Their year in school is young. But I also say, okay, if we didn't know where we were at 2022 and what our team would look like this season, then I really push back on that argument of like, what could we do in 4 years? No, 4 years is not guaranteed to us. This is the season. Whereas this team
Right.
and next year's team, I don't care how many seniors we don't have, will be completely different. Maybe the personnel won't be that different. Maybe we'll keep all these players, maybe. But even if every single player on this team and the coaching staff is the same, it will be a different team next year. And we hope it's better and we will plan for it to be better. But I really push back in my mind on that. Oh, what will the next 4 years be? This season is the only one we're guaranteed with these players.
This is kind of like this week by week thing. You're focusing on the now, focusing on the next match, focusing on the next. Yeah. Is that you both played sports? I mean, at a high level, to me, I most of my moves are in high school were like trying to not stab myself with a pencil. Okay.
I mean, yeah, they're basically taking it match by match right now. There were people, earlier this week talking about Wisconsin, talking about the match, and people are like, nope, it's Northwestern right now. It's not Wisconsin, it's Northwestern. So yeah, just taking it match by match is the way to do it.
Okay, the next question I have is personal for both of you. Yeah, I like the face. How annoying is it to watch volleyball with either of you? Because when I watch football, there was a bit where there were years where my family wouldn't watch any football with me whatsoever because I was so let's say animated. I'll use the word animated. Are you both like, or do you just sit there calmly?
I think I'm calm for the most part. I don't think I'm too animated. That's just me.
I am very animated. And my husband and I've made a comment and he's like, I said, I should be a commentator. And he goes, well, you're going to have to work on some of your outbursts. If there's a defensive play, I don't think they're going fast enough. Go, 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 go. My feet start moving. I am an intense watcher.
Okay, we passed an hour and now we're getting down to it. And what do you guys, who wants to start? What do you guys think is going to happen in this match? Because we do predictions. A lot of our, let's face it, a lot of what we do in sports is speculation. And a lot of what we do is predicting stuff out of just pulling. We listen to the universe. And we listen to the universe talk to us. See how full of shit that is? We listen to the universe and we hear the universe talking to us about what's going to happen Saturday night. Whichever one of you want to go first, what's going to happen Saturday night?
I definitely think the match will go to 5 sets. I think this is the Huskers' time. I think they're going to take this one.
Yeah, I think it's going to take all 5 to decide this one. Wisconsin scares me. They have so many offensive and defensive weapons and abilities. They have so many ways to win. But I also have been surprised more than 5 times by this Nebraska team and their ability to figure it out and their ability to gut out a point or a win that I thought we were all done with that one, down by 8 and they come back. So I acknowledge my underestimation of this team more than once. And so I think it's going to take all 5 to decide this one. And I will bet on the Huskers because I've seen them gut it out enough times this season that they have the potential to gut it out against a team that most of them don't have any idea that they've never beaten Wisconsin in the last whatever number of years. These freshmen have no idea. I mean, okay, somewhere in their head they know, but they've never experienced that. Harper Murray's never lost to Wisconsin. Andy Jackson's never lost to Wisconsin. I don't care that the last year's team did. I'm going to beat them. You know, that bravado and that intensity of winning is in this team. So 5, and I bet on Nebraska.
Wow.
And the match isn't on the road either. So that will be a big advantage too.
Do you think that makes a huge advantage in volleyball?
I think so. I think the Devaney Center is very electric, and it keeps the team electric as well.
Let's see where we're going to go after this. What else do I have?
Well, who are you picking, John?
Well, Nebraska, because I'm an ignorant boob. I mean, seriously, my wife played high school volleyball, and you know, she at least played the game and knows more about it than I do, and she can get pretty animated at times. And I just, you know, I guess from a fan's perspective, because that's what I am, is you kind of look at this and you go, those sons of bitches from Wisconsin. You know what? I think Wisconsin should happen to Wisconsin. I think their team should be broken up like the Soviet Union. That's what I think. Right? You just take like Shrek and send her off to, I don't know, Missouri, and then take Sarah Franklin and put her at Kansas. You know what I mean? And Wisconsin can keep a couple of their players, but you know, I guess you mentioned the girls don't know they haven't beat Wisconsin, but I know that we haven't beat Wisconsin, and for me, because I love this, and I'm a Husker, and I want us to win so bad, it's just going to be. Holy shit, it's going to be, you know what? I hope it's going to be a hell of a game and a lot of fun. And I hope that I can remember no matter what happens. All right. Anything else you want to add?
Stay hydrated. It's going to be a long one.
Yeah.
Stay hydrated.
Doubleheader on Saturday, football and volleyball.
Yeah. You know, if we could win them both, that'd be a really nice Saturday. It would.
That'd be great.
Okay, I think you know what? You guys have both done. Okay. Oh, look at that. Some guy, GM, gives us a super chat and says, "Stop ignoring me, John. It's bad enough you kicked me off this episode." Yeah, well, you know, that's how it goes sometimes, Greg. Anyway. I was going to say something before he rudely interrupted me.
You were complimenting us.
Yeah, I was going to say you've both done a very good job. I would like to do this again. We're obviously going to have more volleyball season coming up. I think volleyball has a rising place. You know, you're going to do it again, right? That wasn't very strong here. I need, you know, you're going to do it again, right?
Yes.
Okay, very good. What we got for tonight, and I'm trying to let's see, remember the outro, which is something like 5 hearts is because that's all the hearts you need. Okay, you both say go Big Red.
Go Big Red.
Go Big Red.
Okay, good night, everybody.